Full disclosure, the voice you are listening to now is artificially generated, brought to you by satisphonic.com. See the link in the description for more details. What do most people not know their phones can do? You can use the Translate app with your camera to translate printed text in real time. Did this when we got to a train station in Latvia, and it was empty with a sign up. We were connecting there and thought we were screwed. Translated the sign, and it just said the station is not closed, just unmanned. Wait on the platform for the train to arrive and tell the conductor where you're going. Without that function, I would have just been lost completely. Google Lens is amazing for this. Very useful grocery shopping in a foreign country. I have my iPhone set so that when it disconnects from my car's Bluetooth, it remembers that location in Apple Maps as parked location. When I'm going back to the car, I just search for parked location in Maps, and it takes me directly to where the car is. Repeatedly clicking the side button like 8 times, or sometimes dials 911. Didn't know that until I did it. I had a Google Pixel 4 and it had some software issue. I tried everything to fix it, but couldn't. It would do the side button 911 trick even when I didn't touch it. I tried resetting it and it would immediately call. I ended up having to buy a new phone. 911 operator. Here. This recent Android update and iPhones, having always done this, has actually become a huge issue for 911 call centers. Just think of every summer weekend, every cell phone that gets jammed into a boat camp chair car, cup holder dialing 911 and clogging up the line. The cell companies aren't changing the updates. It's a really terrible issue that was solely an iPhone problem up until this year and is getting worse with every smartwatch that has some kind of built-in crash detection. 99% of the time, there isn't a crash. In the Photos app, you can search a phrase like cat or green car or certain texts or anything really, and it will bring up every photo related. It's not perfect, but it saved me tons of time searching for old photos. I've showed this to dozens of people, and nobody has ever said, I already knew that lol. Hope I can help someone else. I had the exact same issue and ended up buying a new phone, called 911 twice in 10 minds, and was embarrassed to explain to them what happened. Metal detection. About 5 years ago, a co-worker and I knew a hallway in our building had a pipe cleanout that we needed to access, buried under the concrete floor. We didn't know where exactly. He downloaded a metal detector app. It flagged a spot. We dug, and it was right there. Just downloaded one, and it's measuring microteslas, so it only works for ferromagnetic materials. A real metal detector is not so limited.
Haha, it freaks out when I put my phone next to my computer.
I think it thinks the magnetic field is going to damage the phone. Still handy for a lot of improvised construction tasks though, finding iron pipes, studs, nails, etc. My first thought is stud finder, thanks. Can confirm it works. I pointed the phone at me and the screen said, stud found. Dude, that's actually really fucking cool. I put my phone near my alarm clock and it freaked about lol edit. This has 1,000 upvotes because, how does this work? There is a magnetometer sensor in our phones. It's mostly used to tell the Maps app or compass which way is north or south. It can be used to detect metals as well. This is correct. If you want to check out the raw data from it, there's a cool app called Firefox that lets you access the magnetometer, accelerometer, and other sensor data. There are also cool experiments that use them plus a bit of math to give you things like determining the speed of an elevator. To go a bit deeper into the mag, Earth has a magnetic field, and at any point on Earth, the field lines are pointing in a certain direction with a certain magnitude. The magnitude is generally greater near the poles. The direction has 2 components, an inclination, angle from horizontal, and a declination, angle u, relative to true n, when this field interacts with something magnetic, e.g. a buried iron-bearing rock. It will cause a change in the intensity and create a low on one side and a high on the other. The magnitude and orientation of that anomaly depends on the magnetic susceptibility of the object, how deeply it's buried, the size of it, etc. You can try it out yourself by walking a straight line, I suggest outside and away from metals, and then walking the same line but putting a somewhat large metal object on the ground that you will walk over. You should see a change in the data with a low and high spike on either side of it. The object is located on the slope between the two, not where one starts ends. Obviously, if you just set it on the ground, it won't be buried, but there is a formula that uses that slope to calculate how deeply the object is buried, which is pretty cool. Source: I'm a geologist that has done a lot of geophysics, including magnetometry. Uno Mistake 5238. Here's a more detailed answer for you. Edit to add that you can use the accelerometer like a little seismometer. If you live in an earthquake-prone area, you could pick one up, or you can just make your own. Put it on the floor ground, preferably not carpet as it absorbs the energy, and start the accelerometer recording. Walk or jump around your phone. You'll notice if you are more along the long axis of the phone, the signal will be greater on the Play around with it and see what you can learn. You can even export the data as a CZ and do some fun stuff if you like to code. Like tap and hold the spacebar to move your text cursor tool back and forth with precision. Every time I do it in front of someone they've been lightweight, do that again and they act like I just made their lives way better. Neat. This is 1000% easier than tapping and holding a finger down on the actual text message to move the cursor around. Appreciate the info, thanks. I opened up a text box and it did nothing. Took me a while to figure that you had to type words first. I am so smart. I watered this post, hoping to learn, and this alone was worth it. Print a document to get a PDF. I help people with this so much in my job, where people need to send me documents. Often they're expecting to see a save as PDF option, and that may just not be there. They are surprised when you suggest trying print without access to a printer, and pleased when they see that it works. Oh my god, Leo, I totally just accepted it as a synonym for browsing I'd never heard of. If you take a picture of a flower, you can hold it down and click info, and it will search up what it is. Similarly, if you snap a photo of a bug and go to add a caption, the option to look that bug comes up. Note: do not use those apps to determine if a plant is edible. Studies show they are useful, but also identify the wrong plant pretty frequently. Lots of plants look similar to one another, and expert botanists might disagree with some difficult plants. To check if your TV remote is working, point it at your phone camera. The phone will pick up the flash and it'll be visible on screen. Lifesaver working in app. Just a reminder for anyone reading, you also need to press a button on the remote while pointed at the camera. And this is why it has to ask you if your computer is plugged in and turned on low. On an iPhone, if you hold the flashlight button, it gives you a dimmer. You can also tell Siri Lumos to turn it on and Nox to turn it off. Lumos with an O. Guess they lost their glasses again. I remember one of the first iPhones after the App Store opened, 3 maybe, had an app that looked like a mug of beer, and when you tilted it, it looked like you were drinking it. Lol, we thought it was the most advanced thing. This reminds me of the Zippo app on the old iPhone. You can also activate it like Harry Potter by saying Lumos to Siri. With an iPhone to an iPhone text, pew pew, without the quotes, and it does lasers to that person in the text. If you hold down the send button, you can see all the available effects. You can text this to yourself if you want to see the effect without making a friend wonder why you did that. ESP while scrolling Reddit at 2.0 app. When headphones are not available, the speaker does not have to be used, and in general, the volume can be turned down. But then how will the rest of the airplane know what I'm listening to? Do you really need to hear Rebecca Black's Friday for the 17th time? If you feel like your brightness is still too high, you can actually reduce the white point further in setting. You can backspace on the calculator by swiping to the left or right. You can also turn your phone sideways while in the calculator app and get a scientific calculator. iPhone and confirmed for Android. You can turn the keyboard clicks off. Had to do this with my dad's phone. Anytime he was writing a text, it was like sitting next to Ernest Hemingway. Be used as a weapon. I am serious. Once I was about 15 and a guy came over to me and put his arms on each side of me. He was a lot older than me, and I remember him saying I needed to be quiet. He then said something I don't feel comfortable sharing online, but before he could do anything, I took the corner of my phone and smashed it into his collarbone. I was nowhere near strong, but it made him fall back, and I had enough time to run and get help. Use your phone as a weapon, especially Motorola. Those things are sturdy. Edit. This comment has gotten to so many people. I'm glad more people can be safer, and I got my first award. Super cool. If you set your phone aside and don't use it while driving, the texts sent to it will still be there waiting for you to reply to when you've arrived at your destination. Hold down a part of a photo you want to isolate and it will remove the background. Copy text out of images. I love this for recipe photos in subs like road recipes where I am on my phone using paprika and I can save the whole thing with a few taps and drag. You can use your phone as a level and tape measure. Hold down the 0 on iPhone and you can make degrees x 360 degrees. You can add shortcuts on your iPhone that are triggered by double or triple tapping the back of your phone. On Android, you can torrent directly onto it, then cast the file onto most smart TVs. On Android, you can do split screen between two apps at once. I like to surf Reddit and watch YouTube at the same time. Destroy your alibi. Most phones today are actually able to have the sound turned off of videos in public spaces. Text me back. Some people complain that they miss the time when you could just leave the house and be unreachable. They seem to not know that you can just turn your phone off, or even leave it behind. I think what they mean is they miss a time when being constantly reachable wasn't expected. Make phone calls.